In this podcast, we look at the leadership journeys of our leaders in different industries and sectors. Started from nothing.
Yes.
And you made it into what, 20 billion?
Yeah. Started from zero.
How they overcome diversity, their triumphs, their fears, the challenges and the failures that they have to face in their leadership journey.
I sent 100 applications.
Wow.
I got 98 rejects.
What? We also take several lessons from our guests on how to get ahead in our careers and build businesses that are way above the 99% of other businesses in their industry.
No board will fire you if you deliver. No one. No one. So be the person who delivers.
And position themselves to take advantage of the various opportunities that present themselves in the marketplace.
And the day you think that, let me hang on to this job because it's safe, there's nothing like safety in a job.
And also, more importantly, have more fulfilling lives. Today's guest will continue with a conversation on how to build sustainable generational wealth that will outlive us. He will teach us what that old saying, take care of the pennies and the pounds will take care of themselves, which was reformulated by the great Scottish American businessman Andrew Carnegie, 1835 to 1919, means in our day-to-day lives and in our times.
Power of compounding is the sixth wonder of the world.
Yes.
People create wealth from saving. Saving is, I would say, 30% of the wealth creation.
Join me in welcoming Mr. Dominic Kiarie, the Chief Executive Officer, Jubilee Asset Management Limited. Welcome, Dominic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mary.
Karibu
It's a pleasure
sana.
to be on your show.
Okay.
And it's very good to see the wonderful things you're doing.
Our viewers cannot wait to hear, you share your journey,
Right.
the leadership nuggets,
Yes.
your wisdom.
Okay.
Yeah, so we really can't wait. So we want to dive right
Okay.
into the conversation.
Okay.
Maybe if you can just start by telling us, because we know sometimes we think leaders were born the way we see them today.
Yes.
But I also know that each of us came from somewhere.
Indeed.
We started somewhere.
Indeed.
So could you kindly tell us where you came from, those early years, where were you born, by who,
Yes.
etc., etc.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mary. But before I start, first of all, let me start by congratulating you. I
Thank
think
you.
I've known you for over 20, I think it's 25 years. I was
Yeah,
trying
25,
to.
yeah. It's
I think
more than 2 decades.
More than 2 decades. You did a remarkable job in Equity Bank. Equity Bank has made huge transformation.
Yeah,
and it's
thank
wonderful to see that the things you're doing, telling the stories of leaders out there. So it's a pleasure to be on this show.
I really appreciate your support.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just a little bit about myself. So yes, I grew up in a large family, in a family of 8. I'm not the eldest. I'm the third one, but a very loving family. I grew up in Rift Valley, in Nakuru.
Wow.
In the 70s and the 80s. Because my parents were obviously from Central Province, originally from Central Province, but they met in Nakuru. After independence, if you recall, there were a lot of job opportunities. So my dad used to work in a bank, my late father, my mom used to work in a bank. So my father saw this beautiful young woman from Oranga, and they got married.
Wow.
So we lived. They met in Nakuru. We all grew up in Nakuru.
So were they both from Muranga?
No. My father, our late dad, is originally from Githongori. So my
Kiambu.
roots, Kiambu. So my
Okay.
roots are Kiambu.
Kiambu, yes.
But if you
Okay.
recall, in the 20s, during the colonial times, when the colonialists raised taxes so
Yes.
that the youths could actually go and work in the settlers' farm.
Yes.
So my late grandfather and great-grandfather moved from Kiambu to Molo in the settlers' farm so they
Yes.
could earn some wages
Yes.
and pay the hard tax. Remember, so there was a huge migration from Central to
the
Rift Valley, the settlers' farm. So my father also in his younger days spent some time in Molo near Turi. So he had those connections. So that's how they ended up, starting their family in Nakuru. It was a very, very beautiful town. Still is. They have a farm in a place called Bahati.
Nakuru.
So that's where my home is. So I did all my primary school in Nakuru. And then I went to Mang'u High School for my high school.
Wow.
So Mang'u was very transformational for me.
We had Dr. Githenji Gitahi here, and he also went to Mang'u.
No, Githenji was actually behind me.
He was behind you.
I remember him very well.
He was on this show the other day.
Yes, it's good to hear. No,
a fantastic story.
Yeah, Githenji, full of energy.
Now with the Ambref as the CEO.
Yeah, so I went to Mang'u, and there are a lot of things I did when I was in school. I was extremely active. I was a captain of the hockey team. I did public speaking for my school. In fact, I represented my school in verse speaking. I was the chairman of the science club. I was the editor for the journalism club. And I was also the head boy.
Wow.
So I did all those things. And also academically, we pushed ourselves, and I was, among the top students. Then.
So what I'm hearing is that you started taking leadership roles quite early in your, when you're still young in age.
Yes.
Because that time you're just in high school.
Yes, that's correct.
And yet now you're carrying all those other extracurricular responsibilities as a leader.
Yes.
So would you say that involvement in school activities and leading at that level had any contribution towards, your journey as a leader and what you have become today?
That's correct. It did prepare me. For example, when I was in school, I remember I used to be in the drama club. Drama club involved being on stage and actually, acting. So it develops skills of confidence. You're able to speak to people, etc. So I would say being involved in a lot of activities at a young age, be they drama, be they sports, there's certain skills that you start to gain. So I was you start building
at a very early age.
Indeed. And I was very fortunate because I think growing up, if I look back at our household, our mother was extremely hardworking. I'm sure from the place where she comes from, extremely hardworking. So she nurtured hard work in us. As I said, we grew up family of 8, 4 boys, 4 girls. And for her, there was no, you're a boy, you couldn't go to the kitchen.
Oh, the work is for everyone.
The work is for everybody.
No boy, no girl here.
No boy, no girl. We learned how to cook.
So did you cook ugali?
I cooked many things. I could even, I remember those days, I could even bake a cake, I think, when I was, yes, 9, 10 years.
Can you do chapati?
Very well.
Oh, okay.
So I used to cook from a young age, and our mother's philosophy was very simple. I am training you to go and be independent in the world.
Yes.
So if I don't train you,
do things for yourself.
Exactly. If I don't train you on how to cook, surely you'll end up and you'll be depending on others.
Yes.
So we had to learn to cook, to clean the house, to wash our clothes. Those days are no washing machine.
Yes.
And if I look back, that industry permeates. That's what made us industrious in school, because that's what made us excel. And even in the workplace, I find myself, I'm usually working hard, etc. So the foundation
and moving things here and
moving things there, I think is the home and of course the school. So yes, I think being involved in those leadership activities prepared me for all the leadership roles that I've had over the years.
Oh, okay, that's great.
Yes.
So Mang'u, did you do both O levels and A levels?
No. So I went to Mang'u High School for my A levels. So I finished my A levels in the sort of late, I think in 1988, if I recall. And I did. Mang'u was a science school, so I did maths, physics, and chemistry. Those days it used to be called the maths people combination. Yeah, and we used to compete very, very strongly with Alliance. So even I remember when you used to study, you'll see students writing, God, please help us beat Alliance. The good news is when I did my A levels, we actually beat Alliance. We were the top school in the country.
John Gashora was here.
Yes.
Alliance.
I went to Alliance.
And I asked him whether what Dr. Githenji was saying, those guys are spoon-fed.
Yes.
Was it true? And he said, no. There was no spoon-feeding in Alliance.
Yeah, what I know for sure.
You worked very hard.
Yeah, we worked very hard. There was an industry of hard work that I did not see, and excellence. In fact, when I joined Mang'u, it was very clear. Passing was not an issue.
Yes.
The issue is excelling. So
how did you pass?
Exactly. Did you excel?
Not whether you passed.
No, not whether you passed, but did you
pass very well?
Exactly. And it was both in academics and in sports.
Yes.
That's why even in sports, we used to play with the Lions and we wanted to win because those two schools were, very, very strong competitors.
You challenge each other.
Indeed, yeah.
Yes.
So those were very, very good years, if I recall. They were extremely formative for me. And because I did the sciences, naturally the thing to do in Mang'u, whether you went to do medicine or you went to do engineering. Yes.
Okay, do you have any memories from your childhood days that you'd like to share with us?
So one of the memories,
the boy escapades and
I did many things. The usual things because I grew up in Nakuru town in an estate. And those days the estates were very, very safe. So we played with the other boys. But what I remember when I was 16, and I'm sure you don't believe this, I actually walked from Nakuru to Nairobi on a pilgrimage of faith. Yes. We were very. I was raised up I was raised up in a.
That's like 200.
No, it's 160 kilometers.
160 kilometers.
But for 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah, so we did 40 kilometers every day. It was a big group.
With other boys?
Yeah, it was a big group. It was
a church group.
Yes. I was part of the young Christian students. So I was about 16, and it was a pilgrimage of faith. I think the Pope was visiting the country. I remember it was 1986.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's 86. The Pope came. Pope John Paul.
Exactly. So we had people traveling, walking from Nakuru to Nairobi. Others I remember from Nyahururu. All part of young Christian students. So I decided this is an adventure. I went for it. And 4 days. So we walk 4 days. We sleep in the schools. Our mattress will be carried by lorry. 4 days. Wow. So when I look back, I said, how did I do it?
Wonderful. Can you do that today?
Today, maybe I'll have a team of somebody with a truck, with water.
Yes. It will be very comfortable.
Yeah. So we did those things. We did lots of adventure. I remember even when we were young, we walked. There was one time we actually walked all the way to Menengai Crater when we were boys, maybe 8, 9 years. So we did the things that boys had to do. There was a lot of adventure those days.
Yes. Wow. Now, as the head boy at Mang'u, what would you say was your leadership style then?
Okay.
Because I'm sure, you have all these boys, you're supposed to make sure everyone is towing the line.
Yes.
Everyone is disciplined. Yes. Of course, some will do the wrong things. Yes. How did you handle that? So, those days being the head boy, if I recall, I think it was more... You were the voice. It wasn't more like you have to discipline students because the discipline standard was very high. It was more you had to communicate. I remember when you had assembly, I was always called to more inspire them. So I did lots of inspiration speeches. Yes. We had lots of events. So as a head boy, you'd be called to say one or two things. Of course, there were one or two issues around discipline, but not as much as what you hear. Not extreme. So no, it was a very good time. For example, during the dinner, the head boy, you say something to the boys. So very, very good experience. So what you do is impart the values and tell them this is why we need to do things this way. Absolutely. And these are the benefits. This is how it's going to help you. To the future, building character. Absolutely. Okay. That's amazing. So how did it go? How did you perform in school? I did very well. Academically, I must say I was very fortunate. Our late dad, who also went to Mang'u. So the reason why I went to Mang'u. Oh, he had gone to Mang'u. He had gone to Mang'u. My younger brother went to Mang'u. And those days, remember, he went to Mang'u in the late 50s, 60s. So Mang'u was the school for the Africans. Remember the African elite that people went to now, post-independence, they became ministers. Kibaki went to Mang'u. Tom Mboya, people like those. And of course, there was Mang'u and the Lions. So he spoke, and those days the schools were run by missionaries. So they had very, very high standards. So he spoke very highly of Mang'u. So as I was growing up, I knew the school to go to. You aspired to go there. So he guided us very well. We went to Mang'u, which was very, very good because clearly it imparted very strong values. And the other thing about him, and of course may he so rest in peace, is that he was very gifted academically. He worked in the banking, but he had a very strong passion for education, for reading. And when we were young, we actually used to read quite extensively. I remember I read a book called The Grain of Wheat by Ngugi wa Thiong'o when I was actually 11 years. Was I 11, 12? Wow. Yeah. That was a set book. It was a set book. Secondary school. I did. I read cover to cover. You read it at 11? Yes, I read it at 11. And so the time my dad's friend came to the house, he actually called me, come sit there and tell these guys the stories, the characters. Wow. So I was there, trying to piece
tell this
the story together.
Yes, indeed, yeah. And because he went to university, I remember when I used to go to secondary school, he'll ask me, and he had his library. Have you read this? Have you read this? So one time I decided, you know what, I'm going to take all these books, I go with them to school, make sure by the time I finish the term, I'll come back and told him I've actually read these books.
And I can tell you the story.
I can tell you the story.
Wow.
Yes. So that reading, which I think it's important when you study at a younger age, and it used to guide us. So I think academically we're very, very fortunate. I think all members of our family we're top, either in those days, number 1, number 2, or number 3. Yeah,
so that means that you started the culture, building the culture of reading when you were still very young.
Exactly.
Did you continue with that?
I continued
into the older years.
Even up to now. If you come to my house, I'll introduce you to my
about the book.
I'm a voracious reader.
So what's the book you're reading now, or the latest?
Okay,
or
so I
your
read,
favorite book?
Yes, so I read a couple of books. So I mix business. My passion is business, as you know. I build business. So I read lots of business books.
Yes.
I mean, my favorite has been books on Amazon. Jeff Bezos, I mean, he's very outstanding. I think he's one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time, just because of Amazon.
Yes.
So I've read his story. Of course, there's Elon Musk.
How he built Amazon.
How he built Amazon from an idea. Of course, being in the US, it's a different market. He was able to raise money. But just the idea of how he built Amazon and the problem he was trying to solve.
Yes.
And how Amazon has become today. Because remember when Amazon started?
Yes.
It's a very simple idea. Buy books online, right? And he built on that, buy books online, to now buy everything online.
Yes.
And what I found amazing about him, when you read about his books, is he learned more from his failures. You know, the things we see is, he succeeded, he's a billionaire. Beyond that, they're the failures. And it's the failures that actually gave him the critical learning.
He took the lessons from them.
Yeah. And then if you see how he's diversified, Amazon, the biggest earning stream is not even Amazon, it's actually the cloud business.
Yes.
Yeah, so he started going into these other businesses.
And diversifying as the market, and he understood the needs of the market.
Indeed.
At every stage.
Yes.
And expanded the offering.
Absolutely. So it's a great story, but for me, with those, because that's a story in the US, how do you replicate it to Africa? Because if you look at Africa is unbuilt. We have opportunities for businesses. We have a very huge youthful population. We have a population that is growing. So how do you replicate business successes in the West and we make it work in Africa? And that's one of the things one of the problems I try to solve. That's why I'm involved in business.
So what is the greatest lesson that you pick from that book that you could pass to our viewers?
Yes. So
the story of Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, from the story of Jeff Bezos.
I think for me it's the one where he says how the guys who are selling books, in the stores, the traditional bookstores, they were laughing at him.
Yes.
And because probably people did not understand this new way of selling books.
Yes.
But he went on, he pushed on and said, this thing is going to become big.
Yes.
But what lesson would you say has been the greatest lesson that you'd like to highlight?
Okay, so from that business book, the greatest lesson, I think for me, I would say is, number one, when you're going into business, to be very, very clear and to be singular, focus on one thing.
Yes.
Not many things, just one thing.
Just one.
When he started Amazon, he started with one thing, selling books online. Everybody laughed at him, as you said, so just focus. Start small and keep pushing. You will face obstacles. Those obstacles are opportunities for learning.
Yeah.
Keep pushing. Your breakthrough will come eventually.
Yes.
People forget that. They think, oh, no, this thing is too tough, let me give up. No. Breakthrough will come.
Yes.
You may take a break, you may do this, do that. Your breakthrough will come eventually.
Yes.
So be patient, be persistent, but do one thing.
Yes.
And only one thing.
Yes.
Once that thing has picked up and succeeded, because remember you're also building on the lessons, so see, okay, what else can I do that is connected to this one thing? Even as you diversify, don't start doing, you hear this is the new fad, you rush. You run there. Because you're spreading yourself too thin. Yeah.
So it's like being the hedgehog.
Exactly.
In strategy, we used to say that the hedgehog knows everything
Yes.
about one thing.
Exactly.
Everything.
Yes.
The fox, on the other hand,
Yes.
knows many small things about many different things.
Yes, yes.
So they are never able to focus.
Yes.
So what you're saying is your biggest lesson is be the hedgehog.
Be the hedgehog.
And have that one thing that you know everything about.
Yes, and focus.
You can navigate anything around that.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then the basis of that is the vision. You must think big.
Yes.
Think big. Like even Bezos. Jeff Bezos says, look, he's going to sell everything in the whole world. People laughed at him.
Yeah.
So as you do your one thing.
No one believed
No one believed him.
Yeah.
As you focus on one thing, just think big.
Yes.
And think big. Don't start discussing with people because people will...
They will pull you down.
What's wrong with this man? This man is...
no one has ever done this before. That's what people say.
Yeah. So you think big, think about yourself.
Yeah.
But do it. Keep pushing, keep pushing. Your breakthroughs will start come step by step, step by step.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think for me, if you allow me, the other story is to never give up.
Exactly.
However tough, because it got very tough for him.
Yes.
Even his colleagues abandoned him.
Yes. His colleagues.
Those are the ages.
Yes. Never ever give up.
Yeah.
He was very fortunate. He had a wife who supported him throughout.
The wife supported him throughout.
Yes. Never give up. And just pursue your vision relentlessly.
Yeah.
Keep pushing.
Yeah.
And you'll try things that will fail. And there's this notion that, oh my goodness, he tried and he failed, and people think failure is a bad thing. It's not. Moving to Jeff, going to this other gentleman of Microsoft, Bill Gates.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all know, we've had stories about Bill Gates. One thing about Bill Gates when he was building his business, he used to employ people who have failed in starting a business. Yeah. So failure, and that's why I keep on telling people, if you've started something and it's not succeeded, you have not failed.
Yes.
You have learned what is not working. What cannot work.
One more thing that doesn't work. One more way it doesn't work.
Yeah, so you keep trying.
Yes.
You go to the bank, and I can tell you, I have now a very clear understanding of Kenya's ecosystem because of that, as you know, I've done corporate stuff.
Yeah, I know you've done quite a lot here. Yeah.
And you can go to the bank with the best idea. They will not give you the funding.
They look at you and they say, okay, come back next week.
Exactly. So talking about failure and going to Bill Gates used to employ people who have failed in business. And why was that?
Yes.
Because they had something in them.
Yes.
They had this passion, they could move things. So my encouragement to people who are starting out, whether you're in corporate and you feel you have failed, you have not failed. It's only what you've tried could not work. And that's a lesson.
Yes.
So keep moving. You move the next step, you hit a roadblock, it doesn't mean to say you're failing. And my advice to people would be, if you've seen an entrepreneur, somebody's trying something and he's down, don't start having those discussions. Oh, we told him he has failed. Don't do that. What you do is encourage him. And even yourself, if you feel you're down, don't listen to those voices. Say, you know what?
We knew this thing would not work.
Exactly. Pull yourself up and come up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the equity story. The equity story, I know people now is very successful.
Yes.
But there was that 20 years when Equity Bank started, because I know the equity.
They were insolvent for 10 years.
Exactly. 10 years. Remember there was a time for 10 years.
Then another 10 years for turning around.
Exactly. Yeah. So
then growth.
Yeah. So for me, that's the second lesson. And the third lesson, just focus on what you want to, on what you want to achieve, on your legacy.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes we live other people's lives.
Yes.
We don't live our own life. Let's be authentic to ourselves. And be very clear what it is that you want to do. At the end of the day, it's about you want to leave a legacy. Our time in this world is not too long.
Yeah,
we may think it's we are here for
it's so limited.
Yeah. So this time that you have, what is this legacy? What impact do you want to have? If it's in business, yes, you may have these challenges, but eventually I keep on telling people things will come to pass, you will succeed. Yeah, you may have challenges raising funding, things will come. So stay focused, stay on your lane, keep pushing.
So make the most of the opportunities that we have.
Absolutely.
And keep pushing.
Exactly, keep pushing.
Until we get where we want
to get. And never, as you're saying, never, ever, ever. In fact, I'll put maybe 20 times, never, ever give up. Never. you may sort of just decide, okay, let me just pull back, take a sabbatical, let me do this for a while. That's okay. Yes. But never, ever lose sight of your vision, where you're trying to go. And don't live other people's life, live your own life. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for those nuggets from your favorite book.
Yes.
Now, let me go back to Mang'u.
Yes.
So, how did you perform?
Oh, how I performed. So I was a top student. I got straight A's.
Hey.
One of the top students because everybody is bright.
Yes.
I remember in our year we had 9. Remember Mang'u?
You are one of those guys who are put in the newspaper.
Those days.
They never used to that time.
No, those days we never used to. Okay, you hear Mang'u is number 1. We never used to have those.
Or they never used to have the students.
No.
But you'd have been there if it was today.
Yeah, so we had, to give an example, I remember we had the class of 98 who did A-levels.
Yes.
Out of 98, everybody got admitted to the university. It's only one person.
Wow.
And this one person, you know those days, you know how somebody would, he was not called, so of course he got
I'm sure he joined another college somewhere.
No, he succeeded. I remember meeting with him. I met with him in London a couple of years ago. He's very successful.
Wow.
So everybody succeeded. I mean, doctors.
And they went somewhere.
Yeah, Mang'u, lawyers. So
engineering, architects.
Yeah. No, I did extremely well in my A-levels. I was a top student. In fact, when I finished Mang'u, a few of us were called to join PricewaterhouseCoopers. There were only 2 from Mang'u. PricewaterhouseCoopers those days used to call a few people from A-level schools around Nairobi. So we had 2 from Mang'u, we had I think 1 or 2 from Kenya High, Starehe, Alliance. So there was a group of us, I think we were about 10. So we go and learn a bit about accountancy so that we can change our minds and become accountants. So if you go and do engineering, you go and work with them.
That was who? PwC.
PricewaterhouseCoopers, yeah. It was a very good strategy of tapping the very best.
The best talent.
The best talent. Get them, not when they've graduated, but when they've graduated from A-levels.
So you are shaping their view about the career and what to do.
Yeah, so I got a job. I finished my level exam on a Friday. By Tuesday, I was actually
at PwC.
PwC working. I didn't have an ID, so I remember my first, second, third salary I was paid through petty cash.
You are being given a bahasha.
Because
we used to call it a bahasha.
Yes, I just turned 18. I'd not even applied for an ID.
No documents.
Yeah, no documents. So there are a few of us who...
But you know, that time there was very little crime. So even employers had an easy time.
Absolutely.
Because they know it's you, you. They'll give you cash.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so no big issue.
Yeah, then
and there was no AML regulations that time.
Exactly.
Anti-money laundering.
Those are the good days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, with your maths and physics
and chemistry,
yes, I would have expected you to go straight to engineering.
And by the way, that's what I did. That's what I did. So Mang'u, those days, we used to have people going to do electrical. So myself, I said, look, I know electrical. I've got an uncle who's an electrical engineer, and that was before mobile.
Yes.
And most people who go do electrical. They go and do this heavy. Electrical, they become electrical engineer, and there was nothing inspiring.
Yes.
That was before mobile. So I said, look, I'm not going to do electrical. I'm going to choose to do civil.
Civil engineering.
Because I wanted something challenging. Mechanical.
What?
So
electrical is too easy for you?
I felt because everybody was doing electrical. So I said, why don't we try something different?
Something that not many people are doing.
Yeah, so I chose civil. I didn't know much about it. I knew it was about structure. So I chose civil. I got admitted to... Initially, I selected electrical, and then I changed to civil. So I got admitted to civil engineering. Yeah, so I was on the class of, and I went to National Youth Service. Those days used to have NYS, if you remember.
Yes, yeah, I went there too.
Oh, you went there?
I did.
So I went to National Youth Service for 5 months. So after Pricewaterhouse National Youth Service, and then I joined University of Nairobi doing civil engineering.
Any story from NYS? We had some very interesting stories from Wamboi.
Yes, NYS. What I liked about NYS was an equalizer.
Yes.
Because you had, everybody from different families, the who's, the middle class, like us and others.
It didn't matter your status.
Didn't matter. We had to wake up at 4 a.m. for the 5BX.
All of us. Yes, and run in the dark.
Run in the dark. I remember talking about some of the things we used to do. So we'd run, and myself and a group of the people will actually decide to sky. So as people run, we slow down. Then we enter into this sort of tunnel. Yes. We'll get into. And then once they've disappeared, we'll go back to the barracks somewhere, and then just be in a place where we are, making ourselves warm. And then when you see our platoon coming back, we'll go and join them. I tried that once and said, look, if I'm going to do this again...
And you are not caught.
I said, if I'm going to court, I'll be in trouble. So I said, I'm not going to do it again.
So you tried once and it was too risky for you.
No, I tried once and thought, no, this is too risky.
That's just because you were a prefect before. So your prefect behavior is still playing back to you.
Indeed. And I said, look, this is not good. So we used to run 5BX. As you know, there was a lot of matching.
Yes.
And I was in a company, which actually was the best company.
You were in Gilgil.
I was in Gilgil.
Yeah.
So in the best company, and you remember during the pass out,
Yes.
The best company, there were 3. You had the president had build inspection.
Yes.
So I remember President Moi. I was there with those days we used to have what are they? The spade.
Yes.
And the President Moi just passed in front of us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So,
you just feel like you are touching power.
I could smell this freshness of suit from a dry cleaner. And, you cannot turn your head.
Yes.
But it was, and then we did the slow march.
That was great.
No, it was very, very good.
It was great.
And there was a lot of things. There was the marching. There was we used to go to they had a farm in Nyahururu.
Yes.
And we used to get the speakers from government to talk to us. Of course, when they were talking, people were very sleepy. The people would be sleeping.
You never got enough sleep.
We never got enough sleep.
In NYS.
But it was a very good experience. I must say it was very, very good experience. Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So from there, then I joined Nairobi University.
For engineering.
Yeah, for engineering.
Civil engineering.
So I did the first term of civil, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then I saw an ad. That time there was an insurance company called Kenya National Insurance.
Kenya National Insurance.
It was the largest insurance
that
company.
Was the government-owned insurance company.
So they were taking people overseas to study actuarial science.
What?
Yeah, actuarial science. Yeah, because Kenya didn't have any actuaries. I think they were from India, they're Europeans.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had taken 2 Kenyans. There was a German called Geoffrey Nzao and James Olubai, I think about 3 years ago. So
James Olubai of...
Yes.
He's now with...
Zamara.
Zamara.
Yeah, so James Olubai and Geoffrey Nzao, the first Kenyan actuary. They were the first lot to be sponsored by Kenya National Insurance. So they were looking for another lot of 3.
Wow.
So I just saw an ad in the newspaper. I said, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. Let me apply.
This looks interesting.
So I applied to this ad. They called me for an interview. So when they called me for an interview, I went. And remember those days, I went through my leadership experience.
Yes.
I was in drama. I was doing all these things. I'd done work at Resort House. So I was actually very, very confident.
So you are way above everybody else.
Yes, I was very, even when I went to the interview, very, very confident.
Very competitive.
I came top.
Wow.
In the interview. And there were 3 of us.
Yes.
So I was doing civil. I was selected. There was a gentleman who was doing mechanical. He was the second year. I was in first year. He was selected.
Yes.
And another gentleman who was doing electrical. In second year was selected. So the 3 of us. So we all got full paid scholarship to go to the UK. Those
fully paid.
So when I got the letter, you'll be very surprised. So I took it to one of my uncles and I said, you know what, I've got this scholarship. Remember now I was in Nairobi University, so I showed him this
You were
letter.
already doing civil engineering?
Yeah, I was doing civil. Yeah, right in civil.
I want to hear how that conversation goes now.
So I showed him the letter. The letter was appointment as an actuary trainee. So I showed him the letter and I told him, these guys are taking me to the UK. He looked at it and said, forget it. These guys
What is this?
Yeah, what is this? Forget it.
This looks like a code.
Yeah. So, but what I did is, my dad was not in Nairobi.
What was your uncle doing?
So my uncle was a businessman here in Nairobi.
Yeah. Okay.
So, he was a businessman. He looked at it and said, no, forget it. You at Nairobi. What's your problem? Just continue.
Yeah, you're in a great course.
Yeah, in a great course.
Yes.
But I sought the counsel of my dad. I told my dad, look, these guys have given me a job.
This is where I am.
Yes, this is where I am. And they're going to give me a scholarship. So what do you think? He told me, he reflected, said, what is your feeling? I said, look, I think I should try it out. I've got nothing to lose.
And it's fully paid.
Yes. So what I decided to do is to take an academic leave of absence from Nairobi.
They allowed that.
They allows, So took this job. And I said, let me wait till they're going to take me to the UK.
So you knew if it doesn't work, you could always go back to your training.
Yes, exactly.
To
continue to my civil engineering.
Program.
But it worked out. They took us to the UK.
Wow.
I went to City University to do actuarial science.
Wow.
But I remember that scholarship, they were so strict. They said, if you do not get your minimum grades, they will cancel it.
You are out of the program.
And you're back to the country. So I went there knowing, okay, somebody's paying for my fees, and I really had to excel.
And their expectations.
Yes. No, did we not work hard?
What?
Now, I was actually the top student.
What? In that class?
Yeah, I got first class honors. Those are Chinese.
Actuarial science.
I got first class honors. I got five awards. And what happened when I graduated, I actually got an offer to do a PhD right away. There's a professor who I used to engage a lot. So he told me, Dominic, you've done a fantastic. Why don't you just come for a PhD? But I had gotten a job as an actuarial trainee in just south of London.
Now, which university is
this? Was City University of London.
City University of London.
It's part of the University of London. Yeah,
it's one of the top universities.
Yeah, it's one of the top. It's a fantastic. In fact, the actuarial program was the top globally.
Yes.
Yeah, it was top globally.
Wow.
So I went there, and it was very good. A very good experience. I remember first time in London. It's a very advanced country. Couldn't even use the tube. Yeah, very, very cold. So that transformed me. You know, this young boy grew up in Nakuru.
Suddenly
went to Mang'u High School.
Big city of London.
Bigger city. But when I trace my steps, it's those foundation of leadership at home, in school, having joined Prazotta House, that actually opened those doors for me.
For you.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing. So that program was like for how long?
It was 3 years.
2 years?
No, 3 years.
Oh, 3 years for the degree?
Yes, Bachelor of Science. It's a normal Bachelor of Science, actuarial science. Fantastic program then.
Did you feel like your background in mathematics and etc.
Yes.
helped you to excel in this one?
Correct. In fact, you had to have a background in mathematics. Yes. So it was a very, very tough course. But because I had a strong background in mathematics, it really helped. Yeah, and I like the teaching. They had something called tutorial. Maybe in your days at university, tutorial was a very good way of imparting knowledge. You're not going for tutorials.
Yes.
Yeah, so we used to have, you go for lectures, and then you have a few of you, you will sit with the professor on a tutorial.
Yes.
So that those things that you're taught in the lecture, you could understand them better. I think for me, the real learning came through those tutorials. It was very, very fantastic. Yeah.
Okay.
Even as a leader, you don't know everything. Surround yourself with people who compliment you.
Yes.
Financial services, I keep on saying, is driven by talent.
Yes.
You have to get the very best for you to go to the next level.
Yes, I have the idea. But where does the money come from?
The first stage when you want to start any enterprise, from my experience, you must look for your own resources. Banks do not fund ideas. Neither can you even get a private equity fund to fund ideas. No. And that's a gap that most people have.
Would you like to talk a little bit about what we normally call the founder's curse?
And start to learn that number one, you're not going to live forever, whether you like it or not. That's the nature of things.
Yes.
Number two, you need to decide, do you want this business to live beyond you? And if you do,
yes,
really if you do, you must start putting those building blocks.
Yes.